Hello, friends. Gather close, because I've got a tale to spin, a tale of love, betrayal, and a reckoning that'd make the old gods nod in approval. My name's Ethan Carver, and I'm a man who's always lived with one foot in this world and the other in the realms of the divine. See, I'm a polytheist. I honor many gods, not just one. There's Athena for wisdom, Thor for strength, and a dozen others I call on when the mood strikes. They've guided me through life's storms, and oh, what a storm I'm about to tell you about. It started 5 years ago in a little house on Maple Street where I live with my wife, Rachel. She was a beauty, golden hair, eyes like summer skies, and I thought she was mine, heart and soul. We've been married 7 years, built a life together, or so I believed. I worked long hours at the lumber yard, swinging axes and hauling timber while she tended the home. I'd come back each night, weary but content, and she'd greet me with a smile. That smile. It was my anchor, my offering to Hestia, goddess of hearth and home. But one crisp October day, everything changed. I come home early. Boss let us off 'cause a shipment was delayed, and I found a stranger's coat slung over our kitchen chair. A man's coat, leather, worn at the cuffs. My stomach twisted. Rachel wasn't in the living room or the kitchen. I called her name, softly at first. Rachel, then louder, Rachel. No answer. Then I heard it, a muffled laugh drifting down from upstairs. My heart thudded like Thor's hammer on an anvil. I crept up those stairs, each creak under my boots screaming betrayal. The bedroom door was ajar, and there she was, my Rachel, with him. Some guy named Travis Bennett, a slick car salesman from town. They didn't see me at first, too wrapped up in their whispers and giggles. I stood there, frozen, watching my world crack like a shattered altar. My gods, oh my gods, where were you then? I didn't scream, didn't shout. I just turned, walked out, and let the rage simmer. That night, I sat under the stars, praying to Nemesis, goddess of retribution. Give me justice, I whispered. Show me the path. And she answered, not in words, but in a spark of cruel inspiration. Travis would pay, not with his life. No, I'm no murderer, but with something he'd feel deep in his bones. Money, pride, peace. I'd make him regret ever crossing Ethan Carver. And Rachel, she'd see what happens when you betray a man who walks with the gods. So, friends, that's where it begins. Stick around, there's more to come, schemes, revenge, and a twist or two you won't see coming. What do you say? Ready for part 2? Well, friends, welcome back. You're just in time to hear how I, Ethan Carver, started weaving my web of retribution. That night under the stars, with Nemesis whispering in my ear, I didn't sleep a wink. No, sir. My mind was buzzing, alive with ideas, sharp as Athena's spear. Travis Bennett, that slimy car salesman, had no idea what was coming. And Rachel, she'd get her lesson too, but first, I'd deal with him. The next morning, I woke early, brewed a pot of coffee, and sat at the kitchen table, right where that leather coat had mocked me. I needed a plan, something clever, something the gods would applaud. See, Travis wasn't just any guy, he was greedy. I'd seen him at the dealership, flashing cash, bragging about his sales. Money was his idol, his altar. So I'd hit him there. Hard. I started digging. I knew a guy, Mike Larson, who worked at the bank, good fella, owed me a favor from a poker game years back. I called him up, casual-like. Hey, Mike. How's it going? Say, you ever hear anything about Travis Bennett's finances? Mike chuckled, said Travis was always borrowing, big loans for fancy cars he'd sell at a markup. He's stretched thin, Ethan, Mike told me. One bad move, and he's sunk. Perfect. I thanked Mike, hung up, and offered a nod to Hermes, messenger, and trickster. This was his territory now. Next, I went to work. Not the lumber yard, but Travis's world. I drove to his dealership, Bennett's Auto Haven, parked across the street, and watched. He strutted out, all smiles, shaking hands with a customer. I could have stormed in, punched that grin off his face, but no, that's not my way. I'm no brute. I'm a disciple of the gods, and they favor cunning over fists. So I waited. Well, learned. He had a shiny red Mustang on the lot, his pride and joy, I'd bet. That gave me an idea. Back home, I fired up my old laptop, piece of junk, but it'd do. I created a fake email, John Dawson 76. Nothing fancy, just a burner. Then I typed a message, hey Travis. Saw that Mustang on your lot. I'm interested. Cash offer $25,000. Meet me tomorrow 6 p.m. at the diner on Route 12. Serious buyer. I hit send, leaned back, and grinned. Step 1. Bait the hook. Travis, greedy as he was, wouldn't resist a quick cash deal. But here's the twist, friends. He'd never see that money. Oh no. I had something else in store. That night, I lit a candle for Loki, god of mischief, and asked for his blessing. Make this smooth, I murmured. Let Travis trip over his own pride. The flame flickered, and I swear I felt a chill, like the gods were listening. Rachel came home late, humming, oblivious. I played dumb, smiled, said, "Good day, hon." She nodded, kissed my cheek. It burned, not with love, but with the fire of what was coming. She had no clue I knew. None. So there I was, friends, plan in motion, heart pounding, gods at my side. Travis was about to step into my trap, and I couldn't wait to see his face when it snapped shut. Stick around, won't you? Part 3's gonna heat up, I promise. Hey there, friends. You're back good. Things are about to get juicy, so settle in. I'm Ethan Carver, and by now, I'm not a man to let betrayal slide. Travis Bennett was in my sights, and the gods were cheering me on. That day, October 17th, I'll never forget it. I put my plan into high gear. The diner meeting was set, and I was ready to reel him in like a fish on Poseidon's trident. I got to the diner early, 5:30 p.m., dressed in an old ball cap and a jacket I hadn't worn in years. Didn't want him recognizing me, not yet. The place smelled of grease and coffee, buzzing with truckers and locals. I slid into a booth, ordered a Coke, and waited. Right on time, Travis swaggered in, cocky as ever, scanning the room. He spotted me, or rather John Dawson, and sauntered over. "You the guy about the Mustang?" he asked, voice smooth as oil. I nodded, kept my head low. "Yup. Cash deal. Let's talk." He sat, grinning like he'd already won. "That Mustang's a beauty, $25,000's a steal, but I'll take it. Cash up front." I smirked under my cap. "Sure, but I want to see the car first. Paperwork, too. Meet me at the lot tomorrow noon." He agreed, too quick, too eager. Greed blinded him, just as I'd hoped. We shook on it, and he left, whistling. Step 2, hook set. Now here's where it gets clever, friends. I wasn't just going to take his car. I was going to bury him in his own game. That night, I called another buddy, Sarah Klein, who ran a print shop in town. "Sarah," I said, "I need a favor. Can you whip up some fake docs, car title, sale receipt, real official looking?" She hesitated, Sarah's honest as they come, but I promised her a cut of the lumber yards next hall. She sighed, said, "Fine, Ethan. But this better not blow back on me." I swore to Zeus it wouldn't. By morning, I had it, a pristine title for that Mustang, stamped and signed under John Dawson. Looked so real, even I'd buy it. I tucked it away, then headed to the dealership at noon. Travis was there, Mustang gleaming in the sun. He waved me over, handed me his keys for a test drive. I climbed in, revved the engine, smooth as Apollo's lyre, and drove off the lot. He thought I'd circle back. No. I kept going, straight to a chop shop 2 towns over, run by a guy named Pete who didn't ask questions. Pete took the Mustang, no fuss, and gave me $10,000 cash, less than it was worth, but I didn't care. Profit wasn't the point, pain was. I thanked Pete, tipped my hat to Hermes for the smooth ride, and drove home in my truck. Travis? He'd be standing there, confused, then furious, realizing John Dawson wasn't coming back. And when he checked that fake title, I'd slip him later. He'd think he'd sold it legit and lost it all. Oh, friends, the gods were laughing that day. Rachel came home, chattering about her day, and I just nodded, calm as ever. She didn't suspect a thing. But Travis? His reckoning was just beginning. Hang tight. Part 4 is going to twist the knife. Greetings, friends. You're right on time. Things are heating up, and I, Ethan Carver, am loving every minute of it. The gods were with me, their hands guiding mine, as Travis Bennett's perfect little world started to crumble. That afternoon, after I ditched the Mustang at Pete's chop shop, I couldn't stop grinning. Nemesis was proud. I could feel it. But oh, the game wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot. I got home, stashed the $10,000 in an old coffee can under the porch. Rachel never looked there, and waited for the fallout. It didn't take long. Around 3 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered calm as could be. Hello. A furious voice exploded through the line. Who is this? Where's my car, you thief? It was Travis, panicked, unraveling. I deepened my voice, playing John Dawson. Sold it, pal. Got the title, fair and square. Check your paperwork. I hung up before he could scream more, then laughed, till my side hurt. Loki would have clapped me on the back for that one. Next day, I mailed him the fake title, Sarah's masterpiece, postmarked from a town an hour away. No fingerprints, no trace. Travis would see it, think he'd been outsmarted in a legit deal gone sour, and lose his mind. And he did. Word spread fast in our small town. By evening, I heard from Mike at the bank. Travis had stormed in, waving that title, demanding answers. He's yelling about fraud, Mike said, chuckling. But it looks real enough, cops won't touch it. Beautiful. Step 3. Watch him squirm. I wasn't done, though. Greed had hooked him, but pride would sink him. I drove by the dealership that night, lights off, sign dim. Rumor was he'd financed that Mustang with a loan, counting on a quick flip. No. He owed the bank $30,000 with no car to show for it. I whispered a thanks to Athena. Wisdom had carved this path. But I wanted more. I wanted him humiliated, broken, begging. So I upped the ante. I called an old high-dot school buddy, Greg Porter, who ran the local paper. Greg, I said, got a tip for you. Travis Bennett's dealership, shady deals, missing cars. Might be a story there. Greg perked up, loved a scandal. I'll dig into it, Ethan. Thanks. I hung up, smirking. Soon, Travis's name would be mud, splashed across headlines, whispered in diners. His customers would flee. His pride would shatter. Perfect. Rachel came home late again, tired, oblivious. Rough day. I asked, all innocent. She nodded, mumbled about errands. I let her talk, my mind elsewhere, plotting, savoring. Travis was drowning, and I was the tide. Friends, the gods were singing my tune now, and it was a dark, sweet melody. Part 5's coming. Don't miss it. The knife's about to twist deeper. Hey, friends. Glad you're here. Things are rolling now, and I, Ethan Carver, am riding high on the winds of retribution. The gods were smiling, their chorus loud in my ears, as Travis Bennett's life unraveled like a cheap rug. By now, that fake title had him spinning, and the town was buzzing with whispers. But oh, I wasn't done. Not even close. This was just the warm-up. 2 days later, Greg's article hit the stands. Front page of the Maple Gazette. Local dealer caught in shady sale. Car missing. Questions mount. Boom. Greg didn't name me, kept it vague like a good pal, but Travis's dealership was the star. Folks read it over coffee, clucked their tongues, shook their heads. I grabbed the copy, sat on my porch, and read every word, slowly savoring it. Sources say Bennett promised a car he couldn't deliver, it said. Banks circling. I tipped my hat to Hermes. Messenger of chaos indeed. By noon, the fallout was glorious. I drove by the dealership, half-empty lot, no customers, just Travis pacing outside, phone to his ear, yelling. His slick hair was a mess, his tie loose. I slowed my truck, watched him unravel. He didn't see me, too busy drowning in his own mess. Word was the bank had called in his loan, $30,000 due pronto, no Mustang to cover it. Customers were canceling deals, too. Nobody trusts a guy in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Perfect. Nemesis was dancing now. I decided to twist the knife. I called Mike at the bank again. Mike, I said, Travis been in lately? Mike snorted. Oh yeah, begging for an extension. We said no. He's toast, Ethan. I thanked him, hung up, and lit a candle for Tai Chi, goddess of fortune. Luck was on my side, but I'd made it happen. That night, I mailed Travis an anonymous note typed, no trace, should have checked your buyers slick. Enjoy the fall. Let him stew on that. Rachel noticed the bus. She came home, paper in hand, frowning. Ethan, you see this? Travis Bennett's in trouble. Dealership's a mess. I shrugged, all casual. Yeah. Guy's a jerk. Had it coming. She nodded, thoughtful, but didn't push. Good. She still didn't suspect me. Or no, I knew about her and Travis. I kept my face blank, my rage buried deep, fueled by the god's fire. Athena whispered patience. Loki urged mischief. I listened to both. Travis was cracking, financially, socially, mentally. But I wanted one more blow, something personal. I'd frame him, yes, but not for jail. For shame. For a debt he couldn't escape. Friends, the gods were my architects, and I was building a masterpiece of ruin. Part 6 is next. Stick around. It's gonna sting even sweeter. Welcome back, friends. You're in for a treat now. Ethan Carver was about to turn the screws on Travis Bennett so tight he'd feel it in his soul. The gods were my chorus, their voices a roar, as I moved from money to pride to something deeper, his very name. By now, his dealership was a ghost town, his bank account bleeding, and the town wouldn't stop talking. But I wanted him to feel me, without ever knowing it was me. I started with a new angle. Travis had a reputation, big shot ladies' man, king of the deal. I'd shatter that. I remembered a bar he loved, Rusty's Tap, where he'd brag over beers. So I called another favor, this time from Lisa Hayes, a waitress there who'd known me since grade school. Lisa, I said, need you to spread a little story. Say Travis was at Rusty's, drunk, crying about losing everything, maybe even begging for cash. She giggled. Lisa loved a good yarn. Sure, Ethan, I'll make it juicy. I thanked her, offered a prayer to Dionysus, god of wine and wild tales. Next day, I stopped by Rusty's myself, incognito, cap low. Sure enough, Lisa had worked her magic. Two old-timers at the bar were cackling. Heard Travis was blubbering like a baby last night, pathetic. I sipped my soda, hiding a grin. Word spreads like wildfire in a dry town, and soon Travis's swagger to a punchline. His pride? Crushed. I pictured him hearing it, red-faced, fists clenched. Oh, Nemesis was feasting now. But I wasn't stopping there. Time to frame him, really frame him. I dug up an old burner phone from my toolbox, untraceable, and typed a text to his biggest client, a guy named Carl Withers who'd bought 3 cars off him. Hey Carl, it's Travis. Need a favor, wire me $5,000 quick. I'm in a bind. I'll pay you back double next week. Send. Carl wouldn't buy it. Too sloppy for slick Travis. But he'd call him furious, thinking Travis was desperate. Another crack in the armor. That night, Rachel came home quiet, real quiet. Something wrong? I asked, all soft and concerned. She sighed. Just heard Travis got humiliated at Rusty's. People are laughing at him. I nodded solemn-like. Tough break. Guy's falling apart. Inside, I was howling to Thor's thunder. She didn't know I'd lit the match in Travis. He was burning alive, one rumor, one dead at a time. I sat under the stars later, thanking Loki, trickster supreme. One more push, I whispered. Make him pay big. The wind rustled. Approval, I'd swear it. Travis was a shell now, but I'd make him cough up cash, real cash, before this was done. Friends, part 7's coming, and it's going to be a thunderclap. Don't go anywhere. Hey, friends. You're back. Fantastic. Ethan Carver was now conducting a symphony of ruin, and Travis Bennett was the off-key note begging to be silenced. The gods were my orchestra, Nemesis on drums, Loki on strings, and oh, we were hitting a crescendo. His dealership was toast, his pride dust, and now I'd make him pay literally. Cash in hand, straight to me. I'd been sitting on that $10,000 from the Mustang, but it wasn't enough, not for what he'd done. So I hatched my boldest move yet. Travis was desperate, bank breathing down his neck, clients gone. I'd use that. I grabbed my burner phone again, dialed his number, got it from a dealership ad, and let it ring. He picked up, voice ragged. Yeah? Who's this? I went full John Dawson, gruff and cold. Your Mustang buyer. Heard you're in a hole, $30,000 deep. I can help. He sputtered, caught off guard. What? How do you? Look, I don't know what game you're playing. I cut him off. No game, slick. I've got connections, can clear your debt. But it'll cost you. $15,000 cash up front. Take it or lose everything. Silence. I could hear him breathing, panicked, cornered. Finally, he growled, Fine. Where? I smirked. Old Quarry Road, midnight tomorrow. Bring the money. Click. Step 1. Bait dangled. Now, friends, here's the genius. There'd be no connections, no debt cleared. I'd take his cash and vanish, leaving him deeper in the pit. But I had to play it smart, couldn't meet him myself, not yet. So I called Pete from the chop shop. Pete, I said, need a stand-in. Midnight pickup, Quarry Road, $15,000 from a guy named Travis. Keep $2,000, give me the rest. Pete grunted, always up for easy cash. Done, Ethan. I thanked Hermes, master of deals. The next night, I watched from a hill, hidden, heart pounding, as Travis's car rolled up. He stepped out, jittery, clutching a bag. Pete arrived, all shadow and menace, took the cash, muttered something about debts cleared, and left. Travis drove off, relieved, the fool. Pete met me later, handed over $13,000. He's a wreck, Pete said, laughing. I nodded, stashed the money with the rest. $23,000 total now, Travis's own blood money, funding my vengeance. Rachel was restless that night, tossing in bed, muttering. You okay? I asked, gentle-like. She sighed. Just worried about stuff. I patted her hand. Oh, the irony. She didn't know her lover was a husk, or that I just bled him dry. I lit a candle for Tai Chi, Lux Queen, and grinned. Travis thought he'd bought salvation. No, he bought a tighter noose. Friends, part 8's next. Brace yourselves. It's gonna crack wide open. Well, friends, here we are again. Ethan Carver was now a sculptor of ruin, chiseling away at Travis Bennett's life, and oh, what a masterpiece it was. The gods were my muses, Nemesis grinning, Loki cackling, as I held $23,000 of Travis's own cash in my hands. His dealership was a memory, his name a joke, and his spirit shattered. But now my gaze shifted to Rachel. She'd started this fire, and I'd make her feel the heat. Travis's final unraveling came fast. The bank foreclosed on his lot, signed down, gates locked. Greg's paper ran a follow-up, Bennett's Auto Haven shuts down, debts pile up. I read it over coffee, smirking. That $15,000 he'd scraped together? Probably his last dime, borrowed, begged, or stolen. And I had it. He thought he'd paid off his debt, but the bank didn't care. Pete's help was a mirage. I toasted Athena, strategy incarnate. Then I saw him. Driving by the old Quarry Road, curiosity, I guess, I spotted Travis, slumped in his car, staring at nothing. Face gone, eyes hollow. He didn't notice me, didn't move. The show my doing. I whispered to Thor, strength to finish this, and drove on. His punishment was served, cold, cruel, complete. But Rachel, she still danced around me, clueless, thinking her secret was safe. That night I tested her. She came home pale, quiet. Rough day? I asked, stirring soup on the stove. She nodded, eyes darting. Yeah, her Travis lost everything. People say he's broke, humiliated. I turned, spoon in hand, calm as a priest. Huh? Guess he crossed the wrong person. Her face twitched, guilt. Fear? I let it hang, didn't push. Not yet. Loki whispered, toy with her, and I listened. Next, I planted a seed. I left that burner phone on the table, careless like, screen unlocked. A text from Travis to Carl, still visible, need $5,000 quick. She'd see it, wonder. Sure enough, she picked it up, frowned, set it down fast when I walked in. Yours? She asked, voice tight. I shrugged. Found it junk, probably. Her eyes lingered, nervous, searching. Good. Doubt was my weapon now, sharper than any blade. I sat under the stars later, $23,000 hidden safe, and prayed to Hestia, home's guardian turned avenger. She betrayed our hearth, I said. Guide my hand. The night was still. Approval, I felt it. Travis was done, but Rachel's reckoning was dawning. Friends, part 9's next. Get ready. The storm's about to break over her head. Hello again, friends. You're in the thick of it now. Ethan Carver, was ready to bring this tale full circle. The gods had sung Travis Bennett to ruin, $23,000 richer. I'd stripped him bare, and now Rachel stood in my crosshairs. She'd lit this fuse, danced with betrayal, and oh, I'd make her face the ashes. Nemesis was my shadow, her scales tipping in my favor. It started subtle. Next morning, I left that burner phone out again, same text glowing, need $5,000 quick. Rachel saw it over breakfast, her spoon freezing midair. "Ethan," she said, voice shaky, "where'd you really get that phone?" I leaned back, casual as a breeze. "Told you, found it." "Why?" "Know who it belongs to." Her eyes widened, caught, then darted away. "No, just curious." Liar. I let it simmer, thank Loki's stir of pots. That afternoon, I pushed harder. "Heard more about Travis," I said, chopping wood out back. She was hanging laundry nearby. "Guy's a wreck. Lost his car, his business, even begged folks for cash." I swung the axe, thwack, and watched her flinch. "Funny how fast it all fell apart, huh?" She nodded, pale, fumbling with a sheet. "Yeah, funny." Her voice cracked, guilt dripping like rain. I smiled inside. Athena's wisdom was my blade now. Night fell, and I went for the kill. We sat by the fire, cozy, you'd think, but tension crackled. I pulled out an old photo from our wedding, set it on the table. "Remember this, Ratch? Promises we made." She stared, tears welling, mumbled, "Of course." I leaned in, voice low. "What happened to him then? Why's Travis's name all over town, and your lips quiet?" Her face crumpled, shock, fear, shame. "Ethan, I don't," she stammered. I held up a hand. "Don't. I know." She broke, sobbing, confessing. "It was a mistake. Travis, he didn't mean anything." I stood cold as stone. "Didn't mean anything. I begged the gods for you, Rachel, and you threw it away." She reached for me. I stepped back. "You'll feel this," I said. "Not with fists, not with shouts, but you'll feel it." I walked out, left her crying, and thanked Hestia. Her hearth was ash now. Under the stars, I counted my spoils. $23,000. Travis's ruin, Rachel's tears. The gods had delivered. Justice, sharp and cruel. Friends, part 10's the finale. Stick around. The curtain's falling, and it's a doozy. And here we are, friends, the grand finale. I, Ethan Carver, stand before you, a man remade by betrayal and blessed by the gods' cruel hands. Travis Bennett was a ghost, his life dust, and Rachel? She'd tasted the bitter fruit of her choices. My tale's ending now, so gather close, one last time. The curtain's falling, and oh, it's a thunderous drop. After that night, Rachel weeping by the fire, I didn't look back. I packed a bag, took my $23,000, and left Maple Street behind. No goodbye, just silence. She'd wake to an empty house, her guilt her only company. I drove north to a cabin I'd rented under a fake name, John Dawson, deep in the woods. There I'd breathe, plan live. Hestia's hearth was gone, but I'd forge a new one. Travis? Last I heard, he'd skipped town, penniless, shamed. Folks said he was spotted at a gas station, haggard, begging for work. The Gazette ran one final piece. Bennett vanishes, debts unpaid. I toasted Nemesis with cheap whiskey. Justice served. That $23,000 sat in a lockbox under my floorboards, a trophy of his ruin and her tears. I didn't spend it, didn't need to. It was enough to know I'd won. Rachel tried calling once, twice. I let it ring, watched the screen glow then fade. She'd left a voicemail. "Ethan, please, I'm sorry. Come back." Her voice broke, pitiful small. I deleted it, offered a nod to Athena. Wisdom told me she'd suffer more alone than with my wrath. And she did. Neighbors whispered she'd turned reclusive, haunted, they said. Good. Let her stew in the wreckage she'd built. Weeks later, I sat by the cabin's fire, stars above, gods all around. I lit candles, one for each, Thor for strength, Loki for cunning, Nemesis for vengeance, Hestia for the home I'd reclaim. "You guided me," I said aloud, "through rage, through pain to this." The flames danced, approval, I swear it. I'd lost a wife, a life, but gained something fiercer, power. The power to break those who'd broken me. So, friends, that's my story. A polytheist's revenge, cruel, calculated, divine. Travis paid with his fortune, Rachel with her peace, and me? I walk free, scarred but strong. The gods still whisper, and I still listen. What's next, you ask? Who knows? Maybe another tale, another reckoning, but for now I rest. Thank you for hearing me out. Till we meet again, may your own gods guard your path.